Hey everyone, Tactics here with a quick guide to the Mists of Tirna Scithe dungeon on Mythic difficulty. In this video I'll be going over the dungeon specific Covenant ability, the different boss mechanics, as well as any trash abilities that you should be on the lookout for. If you find this video useful, please make sure you like and subscribe, and let's start off with the bonus that can be provided by members of the Nightfae Covenant. First off, right at the beginning of the dungeon there is a wall of roots off to the left that Nightfae players can interact with to open up a shortcut. On top of this, there is a similar wall of roots located just before the first boss, but behind this one is several different mushrooms that your entire party can interact with. The green savory stat shrooms provide a 10-minute 10% primary stat buff, and the purple tasty tough shrooms give a 10-minute 10% stamina buff, so for the most part your entire party will just want to eat the green mushrooms and move on. The bonuses do not end there though, as shortly after defeating the first and second boss, there will be a depleted anima seed that you can interact with, giving your party additional respawn points, which saves you some time if you die. With the Covenant bonuses done, let's look at the bosses, starting with Ingra Maloch. On pull you'll have two hostile targets, Indroman, Ulfron, and Maloch himself, though he has an 80% damage taken reduction. While hostile, Ulfron has a frontal cone and bewildering pollen that disorients all targets hit, so make sure all players including your tank dodge this. He will also occasionally channel Tears of the Forest, which puts a bunch of swirlies on the ground that leave puddles behind. At the same time, Maloch will be spam casting Spirit Bolt on random players, which is interruptible, so try and kick it as much as possible. He will also do a party-wide fear and repulsive visage, so if you have a fear immunity, use it here. To remove Maloch's damage reduction, you have to reduce Ulfron's HP to 20%. At that point he will turn friendly and cause Maloch to take 200% increased damage for 12 seconds, so you want to pop your cooldowns here and burst as hard as you can. From there, Maloch will recast Soul Shackle on Ulfron and the fight will repeat. Moving on, we have Mistcaller and the Maze leading up to her. To navigate through this maze, you will need to follow the path that has a symbol that doesn't belong. In terms of what that is, there are three different variations. First, it could be the symbol itself, so if only one is a leaf or only one is a flower. Second, it could be either the only circled symbol or the only uncircled symbol. Lastly, it could be the only shaded in symbol or the only outlined symbol. It sounds complicated here, but after a little practice it becomes fairly easy to recognize. In terms of the boss herself, she will shoot out dodgeballs in a line indicated by arrows, so get out of the way. She will also occasionally cast Guessing Game, which puts a 100% DR on the boss and summons 4 adds with symbols above their head, just like the maze. You deal with this in the exact same way by killing the one mob that has the differing symbol above their head. Aside from this, she will use Patty Cake on your tank, which will disorient them for 5 seconds if uninterrupted, but this can only be interrupted by the tank themselves. Finally, she will cast Freeze Tag, which summons an illusionary Vulpin that will fixate a random party member, exploding and dealing damage and stunning them for 8 seconds if they reach them, so make sure they're CC'd and nuked down. That brings us to the final boss of the dungeon, Tred'ova. Acid Expulsion shoots a projectile to each party member that leaves a puddle on the ground, which will try to learn how you dodge, shooting additional unmarked projectiles with each subsequent cast, so you need to make sure you change up how you're dodging. Her other casts are Mind Link, which connects players together, dealing ticking damage until they run 40 yards apart, and Consumption, which she will channel to deal ticking damage every 2 seconds for 14 seconds, and launching big swirlies around the room that you should dodge. Note that while this ability is interruptible, in most cases you want to let it fully channel, as the boss does none of her other abilities while channeling, and the damage is more than healable. The boss will also occasionally try and summon parasites of varying kinds, but this cast is also interruptible and should be interrupted every single time. If it isn't, the parasite will CC a DPS, so you'll just want to burst it down as soon as possible. Finally, the boss will use Accelerated Incubation to summon a few larvae that fixate a random player, more adds that you would just want to nuke down, or kite if you're the fixate target. On death, they will drop even more puddles on the ground, so make sure you avoid those. Now from there, let's move on to some notable trash in the dungeon. To start, Tirna villagers are similar to the first boss, as they have the same frontal cone and bewildering pollen, so watch out for that. They will also channel a stun on a player in Overgrowth, so make sure you kick it. Joining the villagers near the beginning of the dungeon are Druss Soul Cleavers and Harvesters, where the Soul Cleavers do a big tank hit and leave a damage taken increase in Soul Split that must be dispelled, and the Harvesters channel Harvest Essence, which if not interrupted will deal a chunk of party damage and heal the Harvester. Inside the maze, there's also a couple adds to be aware of, in Mistville Shapers, who cast Bramblethorn Coat, which will shield an ally and explode on absorbing enough damage, and Mistville Tenders, who cast Nourish the Forest, which will heal all nearby allies. Both of these spells should be interrupted whenever possible. Mistfield defenders are also present in the maze and have a frontal cone, so melee beware. Finally, near the end of the dungeon you'll find a couple big bugs in Spinemaw Staghorns and Spinemaw Acid Gullets. The Staghorns cast both a personal absorb shield and a group heal that you'll want to interrupt, and the Acid Gullets have a frontal cone and acid spray that you want to either sidestep or hard CC to delay. But that is it for my quick guide to Mists of Tirna Scithe on Mythic difficulty. If you found this video helpful, make sure you like and subscribe for more Warcraft content. I will be putting out more guides for the remaining Shadowlands dungeons, as well as quick guides to the raid fights in Castle Nathria, so keep an eye out for those. To keep up to date, you can follow me on Twitter or check me out on Twitch, both at Tactics. As always, thanks everyone so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.